That is a snoozy pupper, so you might be hearing some snoring in the background, but we don't have to worry about waking him up because he is deaf. Hello again, everybody. It is Blake. I'm here with another quick video recap for today's article. Today's article was written by Sam Wolf, one of our primary contributors. Sam is the most well-read contributor on our website. His content is always very well thought out, very well researched, and so I was super excited for him to write about today's topic, which is why am I so distracted all the time? Which you can also see illustrated by this beautiful, beautiful artwork of a cross-eyed, blue-eyed man saying, "I'm so distracted, wah!" But the dialogue does not show up due to glare. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the topic a little bit. So, most of us in today's culture tend to live in a little bit of a state of distraction. And this is really, really evident if you just see people commuting to and from work, walking down the street, eating a meal. Most of us spend the majority of our lives now with headphones in, or we're watching something, we're listening to something, we're reading something, we're texting someone, excuse me. And the problem with this is that it creates a general sense of distractedness while we're engaging in these activities. Because as Sam explains in the article, when you're multitasking, you can't really successfully think about or focus on any one thing for a very long time. On top of that, we start to kind of wire our brains to expect to be multitasking. So a really good example of this is actually something I'm super guilty of. And during my day job, I have a really bad habit of, especially like during lunchtime, I'll start watching something on YouTube, and then I won't turn it off when I go back to work. I'll just keep listening in the background while I'm trying to focus on my work. And what I found is that when I do this, I am much less productive at work. The quality of my work is, it's not as good as it normally is. I'm more likely to miss details, more likely to file something incorrectly. And I generally have a lack of mental clarity. It creates this haze where our brains are expecting this input. We can get into the psychology of it and the chemistry of it sometime. I won't today, but in a nutshell, when we're engaging with tech devices specifically, but more generally, when we are multitasking and trying to complete multiple tasks at once, our brains get like rushes of neurotransmitters that make them feel good. We're getting this immediate feedback from what we're doing, and that's what our brains begin to expect. When we just sit and focus on one task at a time, it starts to feel foreign or uncomfortable. You might even feel anxious. For example, if you are in a habit of working while listening to music, if you sit down one day and you're not able to listen to music, you might start to feel yourself getting uncomfortable while you're working. Another big example of this is just reading. For a lot of people, it's not that common to just sit down with a book and do nothing but read for an hour on end. Most people nowadays are going to be pausing, taking a break, checking their phone, and generally not able to keep their attention focused on the topic at hand unless they happen to be in a flow state, which is another topic that we could do an entire blog series on. Can you hear the snoring? That is so cute. But see, distracted, multitasking, trying to record a video, thinking about my dog, completely derailed the train of thought about multitasking. Concept in action. But one of the really good things about Sam's article that we're publishing today is that along with outlining these causes of distraction and further breaking them down, he also outlines some really good steps for eliminating the sense of distraction. And so I want to touch on those just briefly. Really quickly, I also want to say that two of my favorite strategies for tackling distraction that I'll go ahead and append here on the front of Sam's strategies are journaling and meditation. In a lot of self-improvement content, meditation is kind of treated like this end all be all. It's like this magic snake oil cure for everything that ails us. And I don't want to be pushing that idea. But what I will say is that with meditation, you start to train your brain to be able to be comfortable with stillness and comfortable with being in the moment. And it's getting used to what it's like to be in the moment that's really great for helping combat distractedness. In terms of journaling, what I really like about journaling is it gives you a good opportunity to be reflective on your experiences. So if you go through a particular day and you find yourself feeling more hazy or less hazy than usual, that can be a good opportunity to just kind of go to your journal, jot down about what you have been feeling and why you think that might be. The more practice you get at identifying these causes of distraction and identifying these causes of feeling mentally hazy, the better you are at heading them off ahead of time. So moving forward, you're more likely to be able to implement strategies that will keep you focused and prevent you from feeling, distracted or like your thoughts are going in a million different directions at once. So with that out of the way, I want to kind of touch on Sam's advice that he outlines in the article. I definitely recommend reading it in its entirety to get the full context and making sure that you're getting in all the great information he's providing. But let's just go ahead and run through some of what he outlines. So the first thing that he outlines is, being able to identify whether you're controlling your technology or if it's controlling you. If you're constantly having these impulses to satisfy that feedback loop of phone makes a noise or buzzes, you look at it, you see that information, put it down, rinse, wash, rinse, and repeat. So the more you do that over time, the more likely you are training yourself to be controlled by those impulses. Taking steps to prevent that, such as installing a browser extension that will prevent you from being able to access local or certain websites and certain resources, or using things like airplane mode on your phone, is a great way to disrupt that cycle. So you're removing the ability to go to those sources of distraction or receive those notifications that distract you, and you're making it less likely that your instincts are going to be to reach for your phone in any given moment. The better you get at resisting that temptation, the more you control your technology rather than the other way around. Second piece of advice that Sam outlines is attempting to focus on one task at a time. So limiting the amount of time that you spend multitasking. This one, it sounds straightforward, but trust me, it's pretty complicated and takes some practice getting used to. To do it well, you need to get some practice with prioritizing the tasks that you have to do in any given day, and also estimating how much time you should be spending on them. So once you're able to do both of those things, it's pretty, well, I wouldn't say easy, but it's easier to be able to say, okay, right now I am working on this, and then only working on that particular action. Finally, Sam also recommends practicing mindfulness. So mindfulness goes back to what I was saying about meditation. There are other forms of mindfulness that Sam touches on in this article, but the general concept of mindfulness is about being present, recognizing what your thoughts are doing, and understanding how to bring them back to one particular thing. A lot of meditation practices will focus on your breathing or a specific mantra, or just generally like what your gaze is fixed on a few feet out in front of you. All of that is a way to condition your brain to say, okay, I recognize that my thoughts are drifting. It's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. I'm just going to come back to this thing that I was working on. Mindfulness of all of these is probably the one that is the most difficult and takes the most discipline to develop, but I think it's also the one that has the largest payoff over time. So that has been our quick video recap of today's article. Again, definitely take a couple of minutes to read this on BlakeWrites. Sam's a fantastic writer, and I really loved reading and editing this article, and I think you'll really enjoy reading it too. And if you have any questions or any feedback, be sure to leave a comment below, either in the blog comments if you're reading the article on BlakeWrites, or here in the comments on YouTube if that's where you're watching this video. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in and have a great day.